freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Epictetus. In the annals of philosophical thought, Stoicism stands as a beacon of resilience, offering timeless wisdom to guide us through life's trials and triumphs. Rooted in the teachings of ancient Stoic philosophers such as Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca, this philosophy beckons us to embrace a life of virtue, integrity, and tranquility amidst the vicissitudes of fate. At its core, Stoicism extols the virtues of self-mastery, resilience, and moral integrity, advocating for the cultivation of a robust inner citadel that remains impervious to the storms of circumstance. Yet, while Stoicism champions the pursuit of noble virtues, it also warns against certain behaviors that can jeopardize our quest for wisdom and serenity. In this episode, we embark on a journey to explore 9 behaviors that a Stoic always avoids. These behaviors, rooted in the timeless principles of Stoic philosophy, serve as cautionary signposts on the path to self-discovery and growth. By heeding these warnings and steering clear of these pitfalls, we can forge a life of greater resilience, wisdom, and inner peace, anchored in the bedrock of Stoic virtue. Chapter 1. Indulging in excessive pleasure. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Seneca. In the pursuit of pleasure, it is all too easy to lose sight of the Stoic ideal of moderation and temperance. While pleasure is a natural part of human experience, excessive indulgence can lead us astray from the path of virtue and inner tranquility advocated by Stoic philosophy. Stoicism teaches us to approach pleasure with a discerning eye, recognizing that true happiness does not lie in the pursuit of fleeting pleasures, but in the cultivation of inner peace and contentment. Excessive indulgence in pleasure can distract us from our higher pursuits, clouding our judgment and leading us down a path of moral and spiritual decay. By avoiding the trap of excessive pleasure-seeking, a Stoic can cultivate greater self-discipline, resilience, and inner peace. Instead of chasing after hedonistic pleasures that provide only temporary satisfaction, a Stoic focuses on cultivating virtues such as temperance, moderation, and self-control, finding greater fulfillment in a life lived with purpose and integrity. In the words of Epictetus, do not seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and all will be well with you. By embracing the Stoic ideal of moderation and temperance, we can free ourselves from the restless pursuit of pleasure and find true happiness in the present moment, regardless of external circumstances. Chapter 2. Yielding to anger. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. Seneca. Anger is a powerful and often destructive emotion that can cloud our judgment and lead us astray from the path of virtue. Stoicism teaches us to confront our anger with reason and equanimity, recognizing that it arises from our own perceptions and judgments rather than external events. A Stoic understands that anger is often a manifestation of our own desires and expectations, and that by learning to manage our reactions to external events, we can cultivate greater inner peace and resilience. Rather than yielding to anger and allowing it to control our actions, a Stoic seeks to cultivate a calm and composed mind, responding to life's challenges with wisdom and compassion. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? By avoiding the trap of anger and learning to respond to life's challenges with patience and understanding, a Stoic can cultivate greater emotional resilience and inner tranquility, finding peace and serenity amidst the storms of life. Chapter 3. Succumbing to fear. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Yoda. Fear is a potent emotion that can grip us tightly, paralyzing us and hindering our ability to live fully and authentically. While fear is a natural response to perceived threats, Stoicism teaches us that succumbing to fear can lead us away from the path of virtue and resilience. In this chapter, we delve into the Stoic perspective on fear and explore how to navigate its turbulent waters with courage and wisdom. At its core, Stoicism acknowledges that fear often arises from our own perceptions and judgments rather than from external circumstances. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, famously stated, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This insight reminds us that much of what we fear exists only in our minds, fueled by irrational beliefs and assumptions. A Stoic understands that the true source of fear lies not in external events, but in our own reactions to them. Instead of allowing fear to control us, Stoicism encourages us to confront our fears with reason and courage. By examining our fears with a critical eye, we can uncover their underlying causes and challenge the irrational beliefs that give rise to them. One of the key teachings of Stoicism is the concept of the dichotomy of control, the idea that there are things within our control and things outside of our control. While we cannot always control the external events that trigger our fears, we can control how we respond to them. By focusing our attention on what is within our control, our thoughts, attitudes, and actions, we can cultivate a sense of inner peace and resilience, even in the face of uncertainty and adversity. Moreover, Stoicism emphasizes the importance of embracing fear as a natural and inevitable part of the human experience. Rather than seeking to avoid or suppress our fears, Stoicism encourages us to acknowledge them with courage and acceptance. By leaning into our fears and embracing them as opportunities for growth and learning, we can transform fear from a source of weakness into a catalyst for personal development and self-discovery. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This Stoic maxim reminds us that our fears can serve as valuable teachers, guiding us towards greater self-awareness and resilience. By confronting our fears head-on and embracing them as opportunities for growth, we can cultivate greater courage, wisdom, and inner peace in our lives. Chapter 4. Being controlled by desire. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Epictetus. Desire is a powerful force that can drive us to pursue fleeting pleasures and material possessions, often at the expense of our inner peace and well-being. Stoicism teaches us to approach desire with caution, recognizing that true happiness and fulfillment come from within and cannot be found in external possessions or achievements. A Stoic understands that excessive desire can lead to discontentment, as it fosters a perpetual longing for that which is beyond our control. Instead of being controlled by desire, Stoicism encourages us to cultivate a mindset of contentment and gratitude for what we have. By focusing on the present moment and appreciating the blessings in our lives, we can find greater fulfillment and inner peace. In the words of Epictetus, he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. This Stoic principle reminds us that true happiness does not come from acquiring more possessions or achieving greater success, but from cultivating a sense of inner contentment and gratitude for the blessings in our lives. Moreover, Stoicism teaches us to recognize the impermanence of external possessions and the futility of placing our happiness in them. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, wrote extensively about the fleeting nature of material wealth and the importance of cultivating inner wealth, a wealth of character, virtue, and wisdom that cannot be taken away by external circumstances. By avoiding the trap of being controlled by desire, a Stoic can cultivate greater self-discipline, resilience, and inner peace. Instead of chasing after external pleasures and possessions, a Stoic focuses on cultivating virtues such as temperance, moderation, and self-control. By embracing a life of simplicity and contentment, we can find greater fulfillment and meaning in the present moment, regardless of external circumstances. Chapter 5. Seeking approval and validation. Who then is invincible? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their reasoned choice. Epictetus. In the quest for acceptance and validation, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking approval from others. Stoicism warns against this tendency, emphasizing the importance of cultivating self-reliance and inner strength. When we depend on external validation for our sense of self-worth, we relinquish control over our own happiness and well-being. A Stoic recognizes that true self-worth comes from within and cannot be contingent upon the opinions or judgments of others. Instead of seeking approval from others, Stoicism encourages us to focus on living in accordance with our own values and principles. By cultivating a strong sense of self-awareness and integrity, we can find greater fulfillment and meaning in our lives. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, wrote, "If you live according to nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to opinion, you will never be rich." This Stoic principle reminds us that true wealth lies not in the accumulation of external possessions or accolades, but in the cultivation of inner virtue and integrity. Moreover, Stoicism teaches us to recognize the fleeting nature of external validation and the futility of seeking approval from others. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." This Stoic teaching reminds us that our perception of external events is within our control, and by reframing our thoughts and attitudes, we can find peace and serenity regardless of external circumstances. By avoiding the trap of seeking approval and validation from others, a Stoic can cultivate greater self-confidence, authenticity, and integrity. Instead of seeking external validation, a Stoic focuses on living in accordance with their own values and principles, finding fulfillment and meaning in the pursuit of virtue and inner peace. Chapter 6. Dwelling on past regrets. The past cannot be changed. The future is yet in your power. Unknown. Dwelling on past regrets is a common tendency that can weigh heavily on our minds and prevent us from fully embracing the present moment. Stoicism teaches us to practice acceptance and forgiveness, recognizing that we cannot change the past, but we can learn from it and grow. A Stoic understands that ruminating on past mistakes and missed opportunities serves no purpose other than to perpetuate feelings of regret and remorse. Instead of dwelling on past regrets, Stoicism encourages us to focus on the present moment and the opportunities for growth and learning that it offers. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, wrote, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." This Stoic insight reminds us that our perception of past events is within our control, and by reframing our thoughts and attitudes, we can find peace and acceptance regardless of our past experiences. Moreover, Stoicism teaches us to recognize the impermanence of life and the inevitability of change. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "Everything is ephemeral, both what remembers and what is remembered." This Stoic teaching reminds us that clinging to past regrets only serves to prolong our suffering and prevent us from fully embracing the present moment. By avoiding the trap of dwelling on past regrets, a Stoic can cultivate greater resilience and inner peace. Instead of allowing past mistakes to define us, a Stoic focuses on learning from them and moving forward with courage and determination. By embracing the present moment with acceptance and gratitude, we can find peace and contentment in the here and now, regardless of our past experiences. Chapter 7. Worrying about the future. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Seneca. Worrying about the future is a common human tendency that can rob us of the joy and tranquility of the present moment. Stoicism teaches us to practice mindfulness and acceptance, recognizing that the future is uncertain and beyond our control. A Stoic understands that worrying about the future serves no purpose other than to create unnecessary anxiety and suffering. Instead of dwelling on hypothetical scenarios and worst-case outcomes, Stoicism encourages us to focus on what is within our control, the present moment, and to trust in our ability to handle whatever challenges may arise. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." This Stoic insight reminds us that much of what we worry about never comes to pass, and that our fears are often exaggerated by our own imaginations. Moreover, Stoicism teaches us to embrace the uncertainty of life and to find peace and acceptance in the midst of it. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "Do not disturb yourself by thinking of the whole of your life. Let not your thoughts at once embrace all the various troubles which you may expect to befall you, but on every occasion ask yourself, what is there in this which is intolerable and past bearing?" By avoiding the trap of worrying about the future, a Stoic can cultivate greater resilience and inner peace. Instead of allowing fears and uncertainties to dictate our thoughts and actions, a Stoic focuses on living in the present moment with mindfulness and acceptance. By embracing the here and now with gratitude and equanimity, we can find peace and contentment regardless of what the future may hold. Chapter 8. Comparing oneself to others. Envy is ignorance. Imitation is suicide. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Comparing oneself to others is a common but destructive habit that can erode our self-esteem and rob us of our inner peace. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate self-acceptance and gratitude, recognizing that each person's journey is unique and worthy of respect. A Stoic understands that comparing oneself to others is a futile endeavor that only serves to breed envy and discontentment. Instead of measuring our worth based on external markers of success or achievement, Stoicism encourages us to focus on our own journey of self-discovery and growth. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, wrote, "There is no easy way from the earth to the stars." This Stoic insight reminds us that each person's path is filled with its own challenges and obstacles, and that comparing ourselves to others only distracts us from our own journey. Moreover, Stoicism teaches us to recognize the inherent dignity and worth of every individual, regardless of their external circumstances or achievements. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "If you seek tranquility, do less." Or, more accurately, do what's essential, what the logos of a social being requires, and in the requisite way. Which brings a double satisfaction: to do less, better. By avoiding the trap of comparing oneself to others, a Stoic can cultivate greater self-acceptance and inner peace. Instead of seeking validation or approval from external sources, a Stoic focuses on living in accordance with their own values and principles. By embracing the uniqueness of their own journey and celebrating the successes of others, we can find peace and contentment in our own lives. Chapter 9. Holding on to resentment and grudges. Resentment is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Malachim Court. Holding on to resentment and grudges is a burden that weighs heavily on the soul, poisoning our relationships and hindering our ability to find peace and contentment. Stoicism teaches us to practice forgiveness and compassion, recognizing that holding on to resentment only serves to prolong our own suffering. A Stoic understands that resentment is a manifestation of our own inner turmoil, and that by holding on to grudges, we only perpetuate our own misery. Instead of dwelling on past hurts and injustices, Stoicism encourages us to practice forgiveness and let go of the need for vengeance. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." This Stoic insight reminds us that by taking a step back and allowing ourselves time to cool off, we can avoid acting out of impulse and making decisions that we may later regret. Moreover, Stoicism teaches us to recognize the humanity in others and to practice empathy and compassion, even towards those who have wronged us. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "Begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial." All these things happen to them by reason of their ignorance of what is good and evil. By avoiding the trap of holding on to resentment and grudges, a Stoic can cultivate greater inner peace and emotional resilience. Instead of allowing past hurts to dictate our present behavior, a Stoic focuses on practicing forgiveness and compassion, recognizing that true strength lies in letting go of the need for vengeance and embracing the healing power of forgiveness.